That worked.
It is July 13th, 2021, and I'd like to call the Board of Town of Lake Mills public hearing for the amendments to the Town Ordinance 5.9 Building Inspection to order. Is there anyone that would like to speak on behalf of the amendment to the 5.9 Building Inspection Ordinance? Second call for anyone that would like to publicly speak on the amendments to the Town Ordinance 5.9 Building Inspection. Third call for the public to comment on the amendments to the Town Ordinance 5.9 Building Inspection.
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Can we get a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The town public hearing is closed. It is July 13th, 2021, and I'd like to call the Town Board of the Town of Lake Mills board meeting to order at 7:02. The notice is posted at the Town Hall and on the town website. Can we get an motion to adopt the agenda as amended?
I'll make that a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. The town approval of the minutes. And
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the public hearing, which was held on June 8th.
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the June 8th town board meeting.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Approval of the treasurer's report.
Make a motion to approve treasurer's report for July.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. To approve the town's treasurer report. Approval of the town board expense sheets.
So Robbins,
Can we get a motion to approve the town board expense sheets?
I'll make a motion to approve Robin's expense sheet of $81.62.
second the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries by unanimous vote to approve the town board expense sheets. Approval of the general fund vouching. Can we get a motion?
Make a motion to approve July's disbursements of $66,057.67.
I second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries by unanimous decision of the general fund vouching. Reports. Chief Miller, you're up.
For the road patrol, we had 64 hours of road patrol. We had 8 complaints, spent 11 hours on those complaints, took one person to the county jail. Had a total of 11 traffic stops, 1 repair notice, 3 traffic warnings, 11 citations. Spent 10 and a half hours running stationary radar. Issued 8 ordinance citations, 14 residence and business checks, 17 park checks for the road patrol during the month of June. Had 88 and a half hours of boat patrol for the month of June, issued 1 citation, 12 warnings. Did 7 safety and compliance checks and assisted 1 vessel off the water. Month of June. We did receive an application from Lieutenant Whitty from Lake Mills Police Department. He's requesting employment here for part-time, and we're looking at putting him on the departments to try to fill our staff in. So we're working with getting him hired onto the township.
Is it W-O-O-D-Y?
Whitty,
How do you spell it?
let me see, W-I-T-T-E, Allen,
Oh, wait, okay, got it.
Allen Whitty.
Thanks.
Other than that, that's all I have for now.
Excellent. Plan Commission, Jim.
Last meeting, we continued our discussion on the boundary revenue sharing agreement with the city of Lake Mills, which expires in 2022. And it was unanimous by the Plan Commission that they recommended that the town enter into a new agreement with them, continue the agreement. That's it.
Excellent. Thanks, Jim. Cambridge Fire and EMS report.
The last meeting we had was in the Cambridge High School. It was open to the public for comment and questions, which was rather interesting. Not a lot of business was conducted other than, I mentioned the last time that the town of Christiana did not want to be owners of that 1 acre with the pizza pit and that one home that's there. So they have 2 plans that their town lawyer is working on, and Mark Cook, the chair from Christiana, didn't lead in any direction of what either one of them were about, so I'm sure we'll find out in the next meeting.
Okay. Cambridge Facility Committee report. Jim.
We've met 5 times. The last meeting was July 8th, and we continued the discussion of the needs assessment and the current design. And our next meeting is going to be July 22nd, where we will continue discussing the needs assessment and eventually make a recommendation to the Fire Commission whether to, well, our recommendations will be passed on to the commission, and they'll go from there.
Excellent. Joint Rock Lake Committee. I don't believe Susan's here tonight, but I didn't believe Wendy is reporting.
Okay, we met on June 22nd. We moved our July meeting up because people couldn't attend the other meeting. At that meeting, we elected Stan as our vice president after first nominating Susan Meestman, and she turned down the nomination. We're moving our regular meetings to the second Thursday of the month at 6 p.m. to encourage participation by the city, because if you remember, our meetings kind of bumped up to each other, and if we didn't end right on time, people couldn't get to both meetings. We are scheduling well, let me go a little bit further here. We did, at the last meeting, do a lot of discussion on our priorities and strategies for the coming year, and the 3/4 that kind of rose to the top by everybody giving their concerns and votes. We want, well, number 1, first of all, we want to continue with existing ones, which is the slow-no wake issues and the Bartles Beach and motorboats issues. And then we are going to also add create a safe recreation environment on the lake for all users. And this is through education and informants and enforcement, while minimizing any negative ecological impact on the lake through recreation. Number 2 is prevent new aquatic invasive species from entering Rock Lake. And then we have 2 number 3s. Reduce the delivery of pollutants, including sediment and phosphorus, to the lake and watersheds from city and town roads, construction and shoreline alterations. And 3, revisiting the Joint Rock Lake Committee's role in restoring the ditch upstream and the Majala Channel project as they had started before. And
Excellent. Thanks, Wendy. Road maintenance report. That's me. So we'll get through it quickly here. Potholes are done but not done. So actually Ron, I talked to Ron the other day. He went back around because we did have several complaints. And he did get there. He was marked, and he was supposed to either do them today or tomorrow. And his guys just flat out missed it. We're all human. It happens. So he's taking care of that for us. As far as the Rock Lake Road project, INA4 project, Brian Udovich has some calls into the state, one of the managers. That's moving uphill a little bit. We're kind of in 50-50 zone yet as to where we're going to get to on it. But it is a little bit of progress, which he was pretty optimistic about. And if he's optimistic, I guess I'm optimistic because he knows how to deal with those people. So that was good to hear. So we'll keep working on that. We took a look at Shore Acres Road. They came in at some semblance of a cost of around roughly $45,000, somewhere in that neighborhood to do that road. Projectively this year, it's probably with their schedule would be too late to do the overlay or the grind and overlay on it, which he thought was the right process for that road, which was great. Thanks to Jim for suggesting that. So it would be, something that we can look at here in the near future to try to get it at least rolling for 2022 and put it on our chart for then. He also gave a report back on Schollmeyer Lane to turn that into a gravel road, and that's going to come in somewhere in a neighborhood of around $7,000, which would come out of the county kitty, which can happen this year. So that one we can get in the works at our next meeting. And that is it for the road maintenance report. Extraterritorial Zoning Committee, I'm assuming no report.
No
meeting?
No meetings.
No meetings?
No.
No report. Period of public comment. This is the time that anyone in the public, if they would like to speak freely, this is the time to do it. We have a very packed agenda tonight in our business sections. So we will limit the board to calling on people if we need people to present something or discuss something. So if you would like to speak, please enter the podium and give us your name, and address is always preferable too.
Hi, I'm Patricia Cicero with the Jefferson County Land and Water Conservation Department. Earlier today, I was talking to Kevin Weissman, who tonight at the county board meeting is going to be named the director of the Parks Department. But he wanted to relay to me his thanks to Chief Miller for the assistance they provided at Brew with a View last month. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Patricia. Great to hear. Thanks, Chief Miller.
I'm Lee Gatsky. I live on Shorewood Hills Road. And I'd like to approach the board with an issue that they've heard many times before. Rock Lake has got a problem, and the problem stems from pollution and sediment flowing into Miljala Channel from the ditch on the other side of Cedar Lane. That all flows into the lake. It's carrying pollution, sediment, and the property owners along the ditch see it all the time. It doesn't seem like other people notice. It has been studied, and those studies have appeared with the Rock Lake Improvement Association through them. In the past year, the owners along Miljala Channel have appeared before the previous town board, the JRC, and the RLIA, and we've been asking for some help with moving the project forward. There's been some issues with it stalling. The study that the UW and Montgomery and Associates brought forth in 2012 came up with remediation that would solve the issue of most of the pollution and sediment coming into Rock Lake. And that's been well documented. It's on the RLIA website, and anybody can look at it. It's very thorough. Due in large part to the property owners along the ditch, the solution, due in large part to an uncooperative property owner along the ditch, the solution to arresting the pollution and sedimentation flowing into Rock Lake and the channel has been stalled. Access along the ditch is required to mitigate the problem, and we haven't been able to get access through this one owner. Now, this has been since 2012. There's been two owners of that property, and neither one has been cooperative. The previous town board, RLIA and JRC, refused to help us move forward in large part because there wasn't consensus to access along that ditch, because the remediation has to be done along the ditch to put an end to this issue. We've tried to, we being the landowners along Miljala Channel, have tried to talk to this most recent owner and the past owner as well, but he won't return our calls. It started out, we did have a conversation with him. One of our neighbors had a conversation with him, and then the previous town board chairman also had a conversation with him, and ever since that conversation, it's gotten nowhere. He won't return our calls. So I'm coming forth to this new town board to ask that you do something to contact this person, since he won't talk to us. We'd like to have you contact him and let him know that he's holding up the plan which would remediate the problem of pollution and sediment coming into Rock Lake. And that's why I'm here.
Thank you. Thank you. The board will note your public statement.
Good evening. My name is Glenn Praber. I also live on Sherwood Hills Road. And just tonight, that I'm just making a request to the town board. Something that hasn't been done. I know they do water tests on it, but we're asking for an independent water test of the water and sediment on the public active waterway. And so we can obtain and be able to, the info to verify the phosphorus and bacteria that we know that's coming in the channel. We've never received any data to my knowledge, and it is a kind of a need to know what is coming in. At the last meeting, I did bring a container of what's on our piers, and this is also going into it's coming through the channel and going into the main lake. So I'm just here tonight to ask or request if the town board would be help us by doing an independent water test so that we can really see what's going on with the water and do a sediment sample. And so, thank you for hearing me.
Thank you, Mr. Praber. We'll take note of your statement for further review. All right. Any other public comment? Once, twice, three times? Nope, we're good. All right. Applications, discussion and or decision of operator license for London Depot. Can we get a motion to approve the operator's license for London Depot?
Make a motion to approve the operator's license for Jennifer Lombardo.
A second.
All in favor?
Matt, did you
Matt?
pass the
Oh, Matt,
background?
sorry.
No, I have no issue.
No issue, okay.
Nothing.
Sorry, Matt. I always tend to skip over that.
That's all right.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries by unanimous decision. Okay, old business. Discussion and or decision of the crack seal work.
Ready?
I'm ready. Let them look ready for you guys.
Okay, well, I'll start by saying, I drove Elm Point Road again today. I just can't justify spending $21,000 on that project. So I would recommend, my opinion is we should just eliminate that road and stick to Sherwood Hills Road, Sherwood Meadows Drive, Conservation Road, and London Road. And with those, Farner Asphalt would be low bidder at $34,730. My comments.
Yeah, I don't think Elm Point Road is that horrible.
I think it's been chip seal, or sealed, and then, what I saw is, minor small cracks, maybe a couple, but they weren't that wide.
Yeah.
And most of them were sealed probably prior to the seal coat, the way it looked to me. So I didn't think that, we've got worse roads in the town than that, and we don't have this kind of money to spend on
Right.
roads anyway. If we did them all, it would be 56,000, so I'd eliminate that road and accept the 34,730.
Is that your motion, Jim?
Yeah, I'll make that a motion.
Are you- Oh,
Yeah,
any
go ahead.
any further discussion? I just had some discussion, so just so we're talking apples to apples
Yep.
here. So you're talking about the Short Hills Road,
Yep.
24,395,
Correct,
Shorewood Meadows,
for 4,315. Conservation Road for 3,095. And then London Road for 2,925. For a total of 34,730, if my math is correct.
I was a little fuzzy on the Shorewood Meadows Drive one, but.
Well, yeah.
That's fine. If that needed to be done this year or not, but.
Well, they're up there in that area. I think
Might
there's economy in doing it while they're there.
Is it okay if they make that motion and they just cross off the differences and we'll sign with them?
This is for basically the crack sealing.
Correct,
filling.
right.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries by unanimous decision to approve Farner for the crack sealing. Short Hills Road, Short Meadows Drive, Conservation Road, and London Road. Discussion and our decision of wedging / patching work. So again, we got a couple of roads.
Well, you didn't,
These are more like alligator stuff is what it is. I know on Mud Lake Road, if you go to the south,
Yeah,
the edges are like, and that whole section
Yeah.
they're about gone.
Yeah. Yeah, but we tended to.
this is,
That would be Mud Lake Road South.
South. Yep.
Now, I think on Farners, and this may be a question for Mike, I believe that's the second one, with the 6,500 deal, is that what that one is?
That was, yes,
That's that one.
last month, supplied, showed the photos of that spray patching machine, excuse me. Yes, that spray patching machine with the single driver. And then when I looked back at the documents, it came back as rebid. Saw on the agenda that old business wedging and stuff, or wedging repair. So I just basically kept this price the same and updated it, just because
Did you happen to see that part of the road?
of the mud.
Mud Lake South? It was just one stretch, but the edges were gone. I mean, they're gone. It's that like crushed asphalt that's laying on the sides now for about a 2 foot by
Yes.
10, 15 feet in some cases, and
That's gonna
6
be-
sections.
That's gonna be, we can do it, but it's gonna be tough. I mean, it's just, you can also have your asphalt guy throw stuff in there as well. So the reason I brought it up to the proposal again is just to get into the road program for you, for the township. Like this is, I think that's where I was kind of going at. It wasn't, I did not specifically bid that for Mud Lake area. I have a day of spray patching for pothole repairs, alligator areas. So that's,
Gotcha. I respect that honesty, because we don't want to gamble, obviously.
well, there'd be nothing worse than all of us standing here next and being disappointed with each other. You know, it's a township money, and so, and I understand there's a budget to work with, so that's why just trying to bring the township some solutions. So,
Yeah, I think we probably hold off on that. Take a look at Ron, maybe just doing, hand patching there, because that whole section at some point in the very near future is gonna have to be replaced.
A couple of neighbors have kind of complained a little bit.
Yeah, it's getting to the point of no return. So we can push that to, just get an estimation out of him for that.
Okay,
What are you getting an estimate for?
We have to get
From
an estimate for
northwest.
northwest, just for sand patch that area.
I'll make a motion that we get an estimate for that patching work on south end of Mud Lake Road.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Get an estimate on patching work on South Mud Lake Road.
Sending in the contract.
What's that?
You're gonna send the contract to him?
Yeah, I will. Once I get it signed by them, I'll email it to you.
thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's all. Discussion and or decision of the shoreline zoning lake brochure presented by the Joint Rock Lake Committee.
Thank you, thanks for the opportunity.
This is, if you're questioning why it's on here, it's just because it's going to keep resurfacing, and it has neither been approved by the town or common council, just so you're aware of that. I'm assuming that you guys did, I mean, well, you would know because you were on the last board, that you knew that this was all going on.
Not really.
Oh, okay, all right. Because we just want to, we want to get our processes in order where, we know what's going on. And then the other aspect I have with it too is there's uncontrollable things in any educational document as to, what's the plan for updating it? Is there versions? When's that, when does it happen? How often is it approved? Liability is always an issue. Wasn't vetted. The final draft wasn't vetted by, I don't believe was vetted by the town board and or by legal, by either entity, which you have to be very, very careful of. So, granted that, any educational brochure is typically always helpful, and it's good to have that information out there. It's really about going through the right process, so we got, we have all the checks and balances in place, and we have everybody's, essentially everybody's liability covered, to make sure that, in the event something does happen and somebody's, reading in there and says, well, it said I could do this, and something changes, and the lawsuits start, we want to make sure that everybody is covered as far as how we went about the entirety of that process.
This was sent, well, I think there was a draft of it sent via email to, I forget back, probably last fall sometime, asking for anybody review of it. I know you weren't on the board yet.
Yeah, I was not on the board, so.
I did get that email. I did make a few comments, sent it back, but that's, me being new on, kind of on the board too. I didn't, I just reviewed it based on, I was asked to review it. But I sent back some comments.
Well, to me, I think there'd have to be a little bit more work done here to get just an optimal plan in place. Basically to, that's mapped out to say, this is how everything's gonna work. And then obviously, it's always helpful in anything that the Joint Rock Lake Committee is attached to, that we definitely not just have town approval and cooperation, but also having the city cooperation on vetting that. That's just paramount, I think, and especially in a document like this where there's both. You have half and half in the same document.
May I speak?
Sure.
Hi, Patricia Cicero again. I was involved a little bit with this process. This was basically a joint effort by the Rock Lake Improvement Association and the Joint Rock Lake Committee. And they did include the town and the city and the county. And the shoreline zoning rules that the town has are through the county zoning, shoreline zoning. So Matt Zangle with the county zoning department did review this and give input, and his input was accounted for. There was also a meeting specifically with the city because the city requested a meeting. So the city attorney was there and gave some comments, and as well as the city, I always forget his title, neighborhood services officer was there and gave comments as well. So it was fully vetted by, in my opinion, by the town and the county and the city. It is the case that shoreline zoning rules for the town are regulated first by the state of Wisconsin, and the last revision to those rules from several years ago, I don't remember the exact date, but it was several years ago, probably 10 years ago, that the state made the what used to be the minimum state standards as the maximum state standards. So you can't be more restrictive than the state at this point, and that's how the county zoning rules, which the town follows, are. So it's not very often that shoreline zoning rules are changed. You know, I've worked for the county for 22 years now, and I've only seen this happen once. So I'm sure that if there is additional changes in the future, that this document could be revisited. This is a document that was currently on the Rock Lake Improvement Association website. I don't think they need permission by the town or the city. In fact, the city attorney said that, like they could put out a document. And I do feel like there was due diligence to get input on this. So I think it's a good document. I think it gives a lot of needed education and information and stating what the rules are to people who live both in the city and the town. In the last couple of years, there's been, especially on the city side, a number of shoreline zoning violations. So I really think this document is very much needed, and I think it should get your support.
Thank you. I don't disagree with you that it's a great document. Educational documents always are. However, you know, in any time, and because I've sat down with the city as well, and I've heard completely different stories. So, you know, unless we get documentation that, you know, they have fully legally vetted this thing, and obviously our town attorney hasn't vetted it. I'm almost 100% positive he hasn't. Has he?
Attorney? No.
No. They haven't done it either. And as far as posting it, you know, the Joint Rock Lake Committee operates under the authority of the town and the governance of the town board. And their name is on the document, so it is problematic if it is getting posted all over the place without approval of the town board. That should be approved. Because otherwise anybody could put anything out there with somebody's name on it. And it would, you know, it might cause us some semblance of legal liability. It's just setting the model or mode for that to happen. So it's just good process that we, you know, get back to doing things the right way and working through the system, and then have a plan in place so when zoning and things do change, who's going to be doing it? You know, how's it going to be done? Is there going to be a revision date? You know, how does it get updated on the websites? Having that all documented and furnished with the town board, because as you know, city councils and town boards change hands. When you don't have that information sitting in front of you, it's awfully tough. And it's only fair to anybody new coming in that they have something sitting out in front of them. It's just the right thing to do. discussion, Dave?
Nope.
Jim?
No, so what's the next step that we need?
Well, based on, the discussion, can we get a motion to approve the rock, or the shoreline zoning Lake Brochure?
Do we need to have our attorney look at it first? That would
Probably
be the
should.
next step. So I would recommend that you
Okay.
make a motion because it's spending money for the legal purposes.
Okay. Can we get a motion to have our legal vet the document and the information in the document, because there is, not just town, but city as well, and to see if there's any issues that they would be concerned about.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. Aye. Motion carries by unanimous decision.
This is
Lost my
our
pen.
attorney down there, right?
Yeah,
Not
to clarify, it would be Eric Larson.
Eric
that would be
Larson,
reviewing it.
yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Discussion and/or decision of adoption of the town ordinance 5.9 building inspection to amend codes to meet the state of Wisconsin requirements. Can I get a motion to adopt the town ordinance 5.9 building inspection to amend the codes to meet state requirements?
I make that motion.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries by unanimous decision to approve the adoption of the state's amendment to the, or the town's amendment to the codes to meet state requirements. Discussion and/or decision to appointments for Town Park Committee. Well, we have some names and some resumes.
We had that Linda
Zulke,
from past email. We have Rick Sapp now interested. We have Mrs. Grzinski
yep.
interested. Is there anybody else? I think that was 3. There was one other person that contacted me, but he
Okay.
doesn't submit anything.
Is there anybody out in the public there that would like, because they had the option to speak as well if they were interested in serving on the Parks Committee? No, so we have 3 so far.
And we need a town board member.
And I need a town board member, yeah. Well, we can have a town board member, yes, correct.
And a town board member, you said?
Well, that would, the committee's 5, right? The
Right.
ordinance says 5, so we've got 3, possibly a town board members, that's 4.
Okay. Got it.
Do you want to wait till we get it?
I would rather get moving on it.
Get moving
this
on it.
out of the way.
All right.
So we'll fill that vacancy when we get one more interest.
Exactly.
It fits, okay.
Yep.
Well, I would make a motion that we appoint Tom as the town board representative on the Parks Committee.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say
Nominations
aye. Aye. Motion carries.
So now we've got 1 for sure. Now, and I'd make a motion to appoint Rick Sapp, Linda Sulke, and Donna Grzinski.
Can we get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We have 4 new members to the Parks Committee. Congratulations.
Yeah. Assume, Tom, you'll notify these people and set up the
Yes.
first meeting?
Yes.
Thank you.
Discussion and enter decision of forming a committee with appointments to serve on the Town Hall Facilities Committee. Have we had any applicants for that?
I think Linda Zolke asked for that one as well.
Okay.
We want one person, more than one committee, I don't know. I don't think we've really had anybody else ask for that one, other than town reps, which would be, I think we determined it'd be Jim and I. So we do need people for that.
Yeah, I think it's, I mean, it's a tough one right now because I think, because of building costs and things like that, people are just, I think it's hampering the efforts a little bit, but
Yeah, well, intimidating.
we can take a little more proactive approach in the next couple of months and at least as a board, and contact people that we do know and people in the area, and, I can do my part as well and see if we can't get this thing underway here, at least by fall would be nice.
I think initially there were a couple that had indicated they'd be interested, but then when we asked them to explain themselves, what they'd be bringing to the table, then it kind of went quiet.
Well, it is a lot of, it's a lot of things to look at, and I think it looks scary, but it's really not that scary. It's kind of like the Parks
Discuss
Committee
air
too.
conditioning.
Yeah, it's actually a very fun project to work on. Parks Committee is a very fun project to work on. It looks like a lot of things to do, but if you're organized, you can have a lot of fun doing these things. Okay, moving on. Discussion or decision to update of 2 HOA drainage ditches. Conte and Fressy to discuss town engineer's response to these ditches. Scott gave us a report already. And I don't know if she is here.
Hi, Heather Conti. We have reviewed the engineer's email, and I've been trying to get in touch with him to have a discussion since I wasn't able to meet with him when he came out, but I haven't heard back from him. So we're still contemplating the decision. We do have concerns about putting that much rock in there and whether it's going to keep that water moving or if the water is just going to sit in the rocks and be kind of a similar problem that we have now. So I don't know if we have any thoughts. The engineer's report recommended 10 feet wide, which when we measure out in our ditch, that's a really expansive area of rock by 65 feet long. So we don't have water 10 feet wide, so I'm wondering why it needs to be that wide or why that's his recommendation, but I haven't been able to speak with him.
Yeah, I was with Corey that day, and part of the reason for the width is the area is, and actually if you walk across the street, it's the same, and I know there's water sitting in yours because I rode my bike through there today, and there also most likely is across the street because the area is so flat. It's horribly flat in that area, so the water's just, it's really not gonna move unless it's pushed by more water, essentially. So that's where he came up with the specs for the width and the size of the material or the size of the rock that's in there.
Right.
Because you also have.
So it's quite large, I think, like on average 5 inches.
Yeah, and that's because of the dual culvert coming out ahead of you and the ditch coming down to the side. You've got basically 3 entry points where if you have a 3-inch, say your 3-inch rainfall or something, and say it's dry, the ground's hard as a rock and it doesn't soak in, that water's gonna move through there at such a speed, you'd be very surprised on the size of rock that water can carry.
Right.
Oh
yeah, we've seen it come through and it can be like almost a foot deep, like a whole creek going through when we get a lot of rain.
And
Not this year yet, but.
And I believe part of it is to encompass the area too, so, because all those ditches are so steep, to make it a little bit easier, so you're not diving too far into there.
Trying to mow.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So hopefully that helps a little bit.
Yeah, so I think at this point, we're just waiting to talk to him and maybe get some pictures of what this would look like or other projects I've done this on, things like that, I don't know.
We can probably get pictures from him. I'm sure he's got pictures of
Yeah, I would
projects
think
of
so.
that size.
Yeah, just to give us an idea of what to expect. And I guess another concern someone brought up is whether or not there could be a sewer pipe that's broken underneath there that's causing, even when we didn't have rain for 2-3 weeks, we still had standing water. So it's like, where was that water coming from?
I'm still confused on where the water's coming from myself.
Right, like if we aren't getting any rain, why is there still, when we had a really long dry period? So just something that someone brought up to me, so I don't know.
I know the area is low. You're virtuously that side of that subdivision is really near the swamp. And it's just low. It could be a small spring. It's
Stratified water in that hill behind you.
Yep.
It
It's
just
just
keep
low,
coming out
really
there
low
all the
there.
time.
Yeah. Okay, so the only other options, was that entire intersection would have to be redone to regrade it. Is that correct? I'm not saying that's going to be done, but just hypothetically, if the entire intersection with the culvert between the park and our house and our driveway were redone at a correct pitch, is that
I can't answer that because on the front side of that, there's only so much pitch, right?
Right. I guess I'm just
And-
trying to figure out
and
where
it's-
this kind of went wrong in the
If
first
it's
place.
flatter, if it's flatter on that front, you know, if it's, you know, not very strong on that, you know, grading wise on that front side, you know, you won't have that option, you know, because your backside is just, it's so flat, there's not, I mean, if you go lower, you're gonna have a pond there because it's not gonna move into the next yard.
Right. Okay, I think I see what you're saying, coming
Yeah,
from
it's
the
not,
side.
it's just not. a-
Okay, so it's not just
the
coming
ratio.
from the side with the park, it's also coming down that hill and where all of those are meeting and trying to get all of that correct with where our driveway culvert is. Okay,
I've seen in Madison, you know, like in Dane County and some of the municipal areas where they have those really flat, big ditches that, you know, are closer to basins and stuff, and they have even bigger rock in those, but they're flat. And there's even with rock in there, there's always gonna be a little bit of water in there.
Right.
Now, when you got the rock in there, you're just probably not gonna see it.
yeah, it's gonna be at the bottom.
But it will sit in there unless you got into an extreme drought. And of course, if there is a spring in there, you're always gonna see it, but
Right, which seems to be the case. Okay,
could very well be. I mean, it's pretty low there.
yeah. Okay, well, we'll work on.
We're trying to do our best for you.
No,
sorry.
yeah, and we're trying not to be too picky. We just don't want to okay something and then have it be, you know, not a good solution. So we just want to make sure that we speak with the engineer and feel good about the solution.
Quick question, the secondary component of that was because I know Scott got approval from the HOA to manipulate that ditch, so they need approval. That's not a town easement, so, but
This
it's a
one's-
ditch. Yeah.
Right, this is town road right away.
It's
This
town,
is
town right away.
Yeah,
So,
this is- yeah, they don't need HOA.
Okay.
Yeah, theirs is an easement.
excellent, all right. So I guess her question to us is,
You gotta
She
get
gets-
Corey
Corey
to
to
get back
talk.
to her.
We want to
Yeah,
have a conversation, you and
that,
Corey.
yeah, that would be great. And then hopefully in the next week or two, we can kind of share a decision and move forward.
yeah.
Okay, all right, great.
But you don't have any water in that culvert. I mean, there's no water sitting in the culvert.
No, not in the culvert.
It's in the ditch on your side.
It's just in the
So,
ditch.
my opinion, redoing the intersection would do no good. I mean, if there was water continuing to come through the culvert.
Right.
On the other side, from the other side, I would say
Or if
yeah.
it was stuck
But
in the culvert.
It's on your side and it's
Yeah.
coming from the hill, not, it's just coming out of the hillside, as far as I'm concerned. The other question you brought up is is there gonna be weeds in there? Well, yeah. Birds drop seeds, everybody, seeds
Right.
blow in there, grass is gonna grow on top of the weed bed
Because
or
you'll
whatever,
get
over
you'll
a
get
few
leaf
years.
sediment. Yeah, you'll get grass
And it'll
sediment.
eventually settle too.
Right.
Okay,
You will get some of that in there. It's not, you know,
right, unavoidable.
yeah.
Okay.
Not the first year or two, but.
No, a couple
Yeah,
years.
eventually, yeah.
It's gonna
And
carry
like with any
downstream,
rock, you
unfortunately.
eventually, yeah,
And then maybe you get a big, like I said, you get these big rainfalls and that's gonna carry some of it out of there too, but it's gonna take that to get it out of there.
right. Okay, all right, great, well, thank you.
We got Francie, he's working on it with, he's just waiting for bids.
Right, he's waiting on bids. He's got HOA approval, so he's good to go.
That's good to
Because we
go.
took care of all this last time, I believe, so. Do we need a motion or anything for her to talk to the engineer at whose expense or? No, good, you're good with it? All right,
Good with it.
excellent. Moving on. Discussion enter decision update on homeowners association for Short Hills North Phase 3 organization and maintenance of ponds. It's Gary, right?
Yep.
All right, I remember, man, I'm not great with names, so.
So we haven't actually gotten the engineer's report, so we can't actually look at it and see if see what's all entailed into it. So,
Right.
I mean, my request would be
Still
is to
digging.
get a copy of that so we can actually look at that. Because we would actually like to know what is in it before going any farther with anything.
What we had was the documents that Jason Forrest provided to us, and I sent those off to Corey. I don't think information that he's looking for is necessarily in those documents. These are the ones I'm referring to are the same ones that we had Eric Larson review. a while back about the homeowners association and those drainage ponds.
But he's just looking for the maintenance report.
I'm looking for the maintenance
Right here.
report for the
That's
engineer
that's
who's supposed to go take a look
That's all
at
you
it.
want.
This
Oh,
is,
that,
this is the
okay.
maintenance report, yeah.
Okay.
I have the
He
documentation
has all the
from
other
the, yeah,
Okay.
from Jason and all.
We just need to get him a
I
copy
need,
of it.
I need your guys' side of it.
Just,
Yeah.
This is what we're gonna
So-
approve tonight, is what we're looking at, is that right?
I don't know if we have to approve it, we just give it to him, it's from our.
Well, I'd like to review over it before.
Yeah, you just
set it in
you just-
stone, yeah.
You just need the report and then
Right.
it's a matter of finding somebody to, you know, do this and do it the right way. It's not overly complicated, but in respect to, I believe yours, there's, I think there were some engineered soils in their ponds, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and our dry ponds are like that, it's,
Yeah.
they're actually engineered and yeah. pretty good.
Yeah, and I think you had another issue on the backside of one of yours
one with the
where a
three
guy
parcel
was
numbers,
landscaping
right?
his yard
Oh,
and
lot 2 and 3.
looked like he was moving soil and.
The guy, yeah, who, or like that, so his yard was all messed up in it, but I believe he had his landscaping done or like that. I just haven't had a chance to get out there to look at like exactly what he did to see if he repaired the area or if he did something completely different with it. But yeah, he shouldn't have intruded too much into it.
He did say yours were gonna be a little bit
This
more,
is what we
I think,
expect.
intensive because of the willows, the trees that are growing in those.
Yeah, so you need.
Well, and there's only some trees in one of them.
Yeah, the one is.
The other one up on top of the other one on top of the hill there and then.
Yeah, the other one wasn't bad.
That was,
The other one
that
was
was been
mostly
taken care of by the people who live right next
Right.
door to it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the other one we looked at over there, we just saw a bunch of weeds and stuff like that, which
Well, he wants
Yeah.
to-
I'm really concerned at this point about those.
So
And
that's,
some of that, it's more, yeah, those trees that are over in the one in the corner over there that,
Right, and he
Well,
made
they're the
mention to
HOA,
me
so-
that, you know, when you're cutting those up, I mean, you gotta be careful because of the
They're
engineered
responsible
soil,
for
like if
this
you're going in
one. This
there
one, we need
with
to
heavy
follow up.
machinery, if you would have one of those machines going and do it,
right,
You
and
know that
yeah,
they're
you're
not-
not, yeah, it's not recommended to go in there with
they're
heavy
not shearing
machines.
that all up, so it's probably gonna be some kind of, you know, hand cutting deal or something going on.
Right, and we're working on looking into the options for that and stuff like that. So yeah, we're working on looking into that stuff and,
Yeah, so you wanna keep, I mean, you wanna keep as much vegetation and you know, even if it's native vegetation, even better in those things to
right,
structurally keep everything together.
right, and yeah, right now we're just wanting to know what's on the engineer report so we know what you guys are expecting.
Yep.
Stuff like that, I mean, so we can compare it to between what you're expecting, what we're expecting out of
he
this.
wants to look at it before we approve.
You can have,
Here.
Yes, I would like to review it probably,
And we'll have it on next, well,
yeah, that'll probably have to be like the next meeting or something like that.
Right.
It's really, Tom, they're, rather than going in and, you know, stumping and, they're really kind of suggesting, a rough mowing to control.
yeah.
But with the skid loader with, tracks, sort of flat tires and all that stuff.
Right, he just said it don't go in when it's wet.
Right, yeah.
It doesn't matter if you have tracks or not, you're gonna tear it up.
Yeah, because you don't wanna,
Better to wait for
solid.
a dry,
Yeah.
pretty good dry spell, but,
Well, and
Or frozen.
So,
yeah, or even frozen, yeah. So,
Right.
I mean, even if we had to extend that into the fall or something, the winter, make it optimal for you guys, I guess I don't have an issue, but it just needs to get done, or your willows are gonna be so big, you're gonna.
Yeah, they're gonna go from this to this.
well, maybe we'll just start a tree farm, right? No. Yeah, so, okay, so I'll review this over with our HOA board here and stuff like that, and we will come back to you guys then next time,
Okay.
All right.
okay?
Sounds
and your intention is to do it yourself, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
that is our intention to do it, the tree
Okay.
itself.
Sounds great.
Okay,
Thanks, Gary.
no problem, thanks, guys.
And we need to do ours, so. Is that another one?
Yeah, there's
Oh,
one
yeah,
on
that's
there.
the next one. Okay.
Discussion enter decision update of drainage pond maintenance plan for Shore Hills Phase 1 and 2. So,
Okay.
essentially, same type of requirements. We don't have as much heavy tree volume in the town one.
Right, and there was previously, but we did clean and treat that. And right now, some of those trees are big enough, so that would be my suggestion is you go in with a chainsaw, cut them off close to the ground, treat them, and because then you can get the debris out of there. Obviously, it needs to be dry too.
Right, we just have to be careful on treatments, because if it's really wet, you can't be treating down in the pond, depends on the chemical you're using.
Oh, right, yeah, yeah. But you just, talk about, brushing on the stump only.
On the other side, when I was out there with Corey, I'd be on the west side.
Yes, on the edge of the berm.
There is a ton of multi-floor rows and berm and stuff. It's like you're not cutting that by hand.
You don't
You're
get
gonna
a-
need a machine for that, to grind
And
that.
it's gotta go because you won't get any ground cover.
Yeah, and so that's gonna take probably machine work to get
Yeah.
that out of there, because doing that by hand is,
Yeah.
for any company, is not gonna be optimal.
And there would be another spot that frozen might be better too. on the other
Yeah,
side.
yep, in the bottom part, he didn't, in the middle and everything is not that bad.
Right.
And, basically a mowing to keep that intact on it good, but again, that one's probably got more water in it than any of them, because that's all of Conte's water goes into there too.
But if you get rid of the big stuff and then it's just a routine mowing, then it becomes cheaper.
It'll make a lot
fast,
easier,
easy to
yeah,
maintain.
to maintain all
Since
this.
I got let go for so long.
All right, so we need a motion to approve the stormwater management maintenance measures. I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries by unanimous decision.
How are we where are we gonna keep this, or, we're gonna do the work, but then,
Should we put this directly into our ordinance?
Well, that's what I was
book and Post it
wondering.
on the website or something, so we have a placeholder for it?
It would be good to,
for future boards.
future boards would be
Wanna add
great
this.
to have it, yeah.
Kind of an outline of, well, so it's on their mind every year to start keep looking at this stuff.
Or maybe we start
Well, we give that some thought, I guess.
yeah, we
See
need to
how
probably have some sort of booklet that's for these agreements or maintenance schedules or of some sort. Okay.
Yeah, it's gotta be documented and kept on file.
Now-
Be helpful.
Do we want a motion to bid this out?
Yeah, let's do that right away.
I'll make a motion that we solicit bids for this work for the our pond, which is Outlot 2 in Sherwood Hills.
Second.
All in favor, say aye to get bids on the town drainage pond, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Unanimous decision. I gotta do my clap again.
Hey, Matt.
Just don't want the background noise because it affects the video recording here. New business, discussion and enter decision of bids for reconstruction of Crossman Road.
Well, we got 3 bids, right?
And I think Corey did an excellent job of deciphering it all.
Yes, he did.
So I guess I'll make a motion that we award the bid to Payne and Dolan Incorporated for $593,393.05.
Second that motion.
Any other discussion? The only thing I had in there was still that, I think those questionable funds for the manholes from Daybreak Food, whether who was paying for that, whether it was us or them.
Oh, whether we're gonna cost share that?
Cost share, or, and obviously we wouldn't get that answer tonight, but I believe this is, I'd have the overall projection on this project, but I think we're under right now. aren't we?
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
So maybe that's solves the issue.
The go
Sorry,
ahead.
Dave, your bid included the guardrail, correct? Or no?
Correct, yes.
The alternate
Yes.
one guard.
Yeah, yeah. Because according to what Corey's, conversation was, that is a major liability to the town anyway.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, the estimate for that project was $621,610, which the town would have paid $186,209 of that, and the state's paying $435,401. So with this new number, I believe the town is paying $178,017, and the state's paying $415,376, for a total of $593,393 and 5 cents.
Okay. And
It's a
then-
30 share, correct? That's what I got off of this.
And then of course, Daybreak's portion.
Right, they're 250,000 plus.
That would
Then we have
fly.
the engineering fees, I'm just
Yeah,
trying
I
to
see
tell
that
everything to see
it's
where
already
we're
out.
completely at.
Well, the treasurer's report today said we're down to 190,000, 194,000. So we
Yeah,
paid 60-some thousand engineering costs already.
Correct.
But there will be more, of course.
Right, yeah, and that was his bid was around 60,000 if I remember it.
So out of 193, we still got, 78, 178, so that's,
Cushion.
16, 17,000.
Excellent. All right, all in favor to approve the bid for Payne and Dolan for the Crossman Road project and the alternate one guardrail? Say, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries by unanimous decision. Discussion and/or decision of state statute requirements for the use of boat launch fees. So this is a printout of the acceptable usage of boat launch fees furnished by the Department of Natural Resources under section 30.77, NR 1.191, 11 Wisconsin Administrative Code. So it approves acceptable uses for this money. And I just wanted to open up for discussion tonight. We don't really need to make any decisions, but I think it's really good when we're working in these launch areas, whether it's, things with roads. I know we have Bob, that's staff down there. I think it's important for, that type of funding to come out of those fees rather than coming out of the general fund.
Yep.
I also feel it's really important to, start setting aside allocating, rough percentages to some of these things that do apply to us. And at the same time, applying a percentage to set aside for future repairs and improvements, so we have something in there. The DNR has excellent matching funds on some things, and it'd be really, really nice to, have a base in there at disposal for bigger projects and things like that, inevitably will come down the pipeline, whether it's, for shoreline, improved launch facilities, maybe it's, those types of things. But, you can also use it for other staffing to help out at, at least, I know, like at the North Launch, it's a busier launch. Can be used for that. So it gives us a good idea on some things that we can use it for, and cleanups in the fall, so we don't wreck our gravel in a launch area either. So we keep our parking scenarios free of debris and weeds and things like that. So that's all I had.
And I think we should be, using this a little bit more, because I didn't realize that, the striping that we just did could come out of there, which would help our budget. And any of the crack filling and sealing that we've done over the years, that's always came out of the road maintenance. So I know a lot of it's just nickels and dimes, but I think we can take advantage of a lot of this. And then even with our porta,
That is coming out.
that is
already,
coming out of
yep.
there, okay.
Yeah. I think the only thing that's on this list that we haven't necessarily been taking out is the time that Bob Delaney or whatever officer is managing the launch fees, checking the parking, things like that. So,
Sharon's cost too.
yes, and the cost for
administrative
Sharon
costs,
to administer all the permits and
'cause
such.
That's $500-600 a month sometimes.
Just for sharing,
That's right, yeah, she got a raise.
But yeah, I mean, there should be some allocation. For
Signage,
administrative.
signage, all that, 'cause we, put another sign up in there. And I know we're gonna have Ferry Park, there's gonna be some signs in those launch areas, and, eventually that committees will come up with, so I think it's just something to look for, maybe think about over, the next month, and, I don't know if we have to allocate certain percentages to things, but it's nice to have, you know, we know what roads cost, we know what some of these things cost, and having some kind of idea of, you know, from year to year. Like Park Lane probably will need some crack filling next year to keep that road in optimal condition, those types of things, so.
The only thing is the Rock Lake account, you know, that really has to maintain a lot of money, because if you ever had to redo a launch, that's gonna be $200,000 easy.
Well, there are some newer systems and things, but we do have matching at our disposal too.
Right, yeah, for public
50% is a lot. you know,
Oh, yeah.
For like launch ramps and things like that, and there's multiple times during the year from what Mary had told me at the DNR that, you know, we could be applying for these things. And we should be taking, you know, at least, you know, maybe something for the Joint Rock Lake Committee to be looking at, to, you know, be at least looking at those types of things for improvements, because it is important. I mean, the landings they do get, you know, they get used, they get beat up a little bit, and we want to keep them, we want to keep everything healthy, we want to keep the lake healthy, so that's all I had. Discussion and/or decision of Chairperson's report of observations at the boat launch areas. I've been spending quality time at all the landings, substantial amounts of time. So I've gotten to see a lot of different things that go on. Mostly good, I would say, but you know, safety always comes to the forefront of my mind. Invasive species always comes to the forefront of my mind. And watching what people do while we have our clean waters, clean boats people there, and then watching what people do when they're not there. So I got to see a lot of different things, and I will continue to spend quality time, you know, doing a lot of listening and observation. I think it's important. You can actually see what's going on in the lake too, which is kind of nice, especially on. I was there the whole good chunk of the 4th of July weekend, and our parking lots. I think there was one day that I was there that it was full. 4th of July weekend, we never hit capacity, even in the North Landing. Ferry Park hit capacity, I believe Elm Point did, but the North Landing, there was open spots, you know, throughout the day, which was a bit surprising, I think, based on some feedback that I heard from the year before in the COVID environment when all the Madison Lake people were pouring over to our lakes and things like that. And I got great feedback from families and people coming off the lake, going on the lake. But I think there's definitely there's value to, you know, eventually maybe taking a look at staff, some kind of staffing down there, whether it's through volunteer organizations, church groups, whatever, and having some kind of training regimen to, you know, educate people on safety on the lake and boater safety. Do you have enough life jackets in the boat? I mean, I got to talk and meet all the police officers on the lake. You know, they pulled up and I chatted with them for a few minutes. You know, some things that we can do to help out law enforcement, help out safety, you know, when people arrive to the lake. Because one thing I noticed is, you know, there is a lot of young families, and, you know, and I've had young kids before and they run all over the place, right? Well, there's kids on the dock with all life jackets on. They're running, you know, across the street. There's a lot of different things going on there, and there's quite a bit of traffic moving through there. But having some safety protocols, there's a lot of anxiety. They're excited to get on the waters, but they tend to forget everything else that's going on, right? And they're not going to read a sign. That's just, I'd love to say it, but they're just, they just don't. So I think there's some areas that we can help out there. As far as the invasive species portion of it, we don't have, and I really like what Sandy Beach did, where they have a station on both sides. So they have one before they get on the lake. And I think it's always paramount when they're coached up before they get on the lake, because it helps when a little bit more when they come off the lake as well. Because when people come off the lake, you know as well as I do, I'm human. You jump in your car and you want to get to the next place, whether it's a party you're going to or, getting home to cook dinner or whatever the case may be. And when people are coming off the lake and, really essentially nothing's being said, invasive species even goes wayside. They're not using the tools. And very seldom, even when the clean waters, clean boats people are there, that do they, use the tools. But I think one of the things with me about any type of tool or any kind of doing something to your boat or cleaning it or whatever is people are very visual, and they may not understand how to do it or how to use that tool or how should I use this one to clean my boat. I know some of the clean waters, clean boats people, they did an excellent job of kind of, when they're there, is, kind of pointing some of these things out. But actually using the tools, like that would be helpful. Because if I had to go there with a boat, and I don't really own one, and I'm glad I don't, but other than kayaks, I'd probably stare at the tools, and especially the alligator one, and I'd be like, I always see people picking up garbage in the ditch with those. So I'm like, okay, what do we exactly use those for? So I think some demonstration, I think, is another value to having, to having staff down there more frequently, especially on weekends, because it's definitely the busiest time. A lot of fishermen during the week, a lot quieter. But the weekends, middle parts of the day are heavily used, people coming and going, and it was good to see people having fun, and being able to talk with them and seeing smiles on people's face. I think that's really important in a lake culture, but I do think we can do a better job there and start meeting some of the concerns and some of the lake issues that we do have in the lake, with a lot of people being on there and helping out law enforcement, because we'll get to that in a minute, as to some of the safety issues and really protecting our lakes. So that's all I had. Discussion and our decision of the Joint Rock Lake Committee's recommendation to change the slow no-wake SNW from the shoreline of Rock Lake from the current multiple distance 100 feet for motorized boats to 200 feet for jet skis to 200 feet for all boats and jet skis. Any discussion on this one?
Well, my understanding was the Joint Rock Lake Committee, Susan sent an email that says that she's got a couple model ordinances or sample ordinances for us. We haven't seen them yet, but I think that's the next step. Get a model ordinance and hold some hearings on it and start going. If that's
I'm okay with it.
I think, we have to definitely take a hard look at all the information. I'm not sure if they did a community survey on this or not, but it would be really, well, not just community, getting feedback, within the community, but also with people that are using the lake. I always say survey always helps tremendously, because people are gonna, in the heat of the moment, they're gonna tell you exactly what's going on, what they saw, what their experience was like. Because this is a major decision. There's gotta be a little bit of education behind it too. And not just that, we have to think of budgeting because the signs will all have to be changed. So it seems to me like it's just kind of what they've submitted. They submitted a page-and-a-half document. We need more information, a substantial amount of information and a really good plan. So if something like this is launched, it's successful. I'm not sure if law enforcement Matt, were you ever contacted by this group as to?
Yeah, I've seen this document before. Yes, I have.
Did they ask you your opinion of it though?
I don't believe they asked my opinion of it, but okay. I was notified of the document.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, you guys are on the lake too, and you have to enforce things, and I think that opinion is, you know, it's very valuable as well.
I think again, Tom, it comes down to, I think it's a huge safety factor.
Yeah.
I think also at some point, if the town decides to move forward with this, we do have to have DNR review of it as well, I believe.
Yes, 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 and I think there are examples of that out there, so I do believe, that is needed as well. So there's definitely work that needs to be done on it yet. But, you know, at the same time, you know, we gotta make sure we're well out in front of this thing to make a major change. Because we make a major change and a lot of people don't know about it, they get pretty angry. So we wanna make sure that, that doesn't happen.
We did get that one letter, excuse me, Patricia, we did get that one letter from Melissa Fearman, I don't know, is that her, Fearman, whatever.
Yep.
Who said she thought about it a little more and she thought that would be taking away area off the lake, which is already tight for skiers and things. So that's the only really negative thing that I've heard so far. But if you look at the map, it's really minor impact on the size of the lake that you're really taking away, so.
It was like, I forget the percentage because I did a calculation on it on surface
Gotta be
area.
pretty small.
It wasn't a very large percentage. You know, however, when we talk about safety, it's a twofold safety problem. You go out 200 feet, it does make it a heck of a lot better for kayakers, paddleboarders, swimmers, those types of recreational aspects.
Well,
But then you're pouring a big concentration into a smaller area too of motorized craft.
our swim rafts are 150 feet, so you'd have a 50-foot bump for,
Yeah.
and so our mooring buoys could be out 150 feet, so you would have a 50-foot buffer that we don't have now. I did speak with the chief from the town of Oakland, and that's a smaller lake than ours.
Right.
And they have no issues with it, and he likes it.
Okay.
So I did speak with him when I got the document.
The other thing I think we have to remember too, if we move forward with it, we also need to have our buoy permits updated with the DNR.
That and buoy, the cost of, I don't even know how he's gonna go about estimating that, 'cause I'm assuming those things are gonna be in deeper water.
So the cost of
More.
actually installing them.
So, yeah. Yeah.
What, the buoys?
The buoys, yeah.
Well, if they're affected, are they? They're only out along the Korth Bay.
Yeah,
That's, they're gonna
they
move,
may not
and they're
be.
only on Schultz Bay.
Okay, just something to keep in mind, if there's any
Yeah.
that are affected, we do have to remember, we have to put those application amendments in.
Because I did see, I guess in one of my observations, I did see too, I mean, I got to watch a lot of personal watercraft launch. And once they got past, you know, the buoy, past the pier, you know, they took off.
Fun begins here.
The fun begins, yeah. And so, I mean, it does, it's difficult because I can imagine being on the lake. I mean, I use binoculars and trying to differentiate an area with watercraft is pretty tough, so. I don't know as if there's anything more we can do with this tonight. I think we can discuss it, but I think there's more work.
Give some background information. So I just wanted to remind everybody that the Rock Lake Management Plan has a lot of great data in it and information. It was last updated in 2018. It's contained on the Rock Lake Improvement Association website. So it was a big community project. The County Land and Water Conservation Department was involved. The Rock Lake Improvement Association, the Joint Rock Lake Committee. There was somebody from the town on the advisory committee as well. There were a number of public input sessions. There was a public survey that was done. And one of the public surveys, there was a question about which recreational rules are most frequently violated on Rock Lake. And out of the first, so people could choose their first, second, and third, rank them, and there were 531 responses for the first choice, and it was slow, no wake distances was the most frequently violated by far. And then that was also the highest on people's second choices and the highest, or the second highest on the third choices. So, and then slow no wake areas also ranked high under the first choices, and ranked third on the second choices. So I encourage you to look at that information. And then there was a number of recommendations put forward in this plan, which came before the town board as a presentation. And one of the recommendations, let me find it. So it was to research with broader public input the viability of simplifying the current slow no wake distance regulation for all motorized boats at 200 feet from shore. So just wanted to give you some of that history so that you know that it has been talked about for a number of years now and appeared in the Rock Lake Management Plan.
I did get a chance to read that in there and looked at the data. I just, surveying is one of those things where you really have to pay attention to it and how it's being done and whatnot. And I think, you know, again, that was done then, how is it now? It'd be really interesting to see, you know, what's changed. And I don't remember the exact date when that survey was done in that document, if it was at the 2008 point or 18 point. Surveying, I know, I mean, even with the school system, I mean, there was such a low turnout for the survey. It was ridiculously low to even, you know, really get an optimal, you know, to get the optimal results that you're trying to get out of it. Of course, this day and age, there's, you know, greater technology to do more advanced surveying to make sure that, you know, we're trying to capture the complete audience, you know, even people that are on the lake that may be from out of town or whatever that are coming in. It's really important to have that feedback as well, you know, to incorporate that. I deal with that a lot, you know, even in the DNR, and surveying it's pretty extensive. So it'd be good to get something a little bit more recent. Because I know there's a lot of people talking about it, but again, documentation and really seeing how those things are being done is really crucial to help sell a major change.
I guess I would just respond by saying that the survey was developed with a DNR survey expert, and the results aren't more than 5 years old. So I myself think they're fairly recent, and I think that you can turn toward the watercraft boat patrol, because they can also tell you what they see as the issues out there. So I myself don't think another big survey is necessarily. So, thanks.
Thank you. Well, we can move on because I don't think we're making any decisions tonight on that one. Discussion and our decision of management of invasive species tools at the boat launches. So the tools have been disappearing. Doesn't seem as bad lately. Some broken ones, I know at Sandy Beach there were some that were broken. When they disappeared, amazingly they reappeared. And I thought maybe people were taking them on boats and then figuring out they had them and bringing them back. But then I found out from somebody else that the RLIA was just replacing them. So it kind of brought up the subject, and I think we're going to breach the subject anyway with you know, charitable donations and things like that. And I'm not sold that the town has even a policy in place or an agreement to accept such donations. And I know they do exist in other townships, and I've studied and seen a few. And there's even one I think in the village of Richfield, Wisconsin, which was a pretty well-written one. And really, in fairness to all parties involved in liability, in legal issues, you know, there should be an agreement in place to accept of something like this and to accept great gestures, because that's obviously what this is. There was some mention of alteration of these tools too, about putting town in for, property of the town on them and taking it in a cable harness or something, and maybe coloring the tools a different color. Again, altering the tools is always good for me to see a complete sample. I get worried about metal and cable and things like that because there's a lot of high-end boats out there. Some of those people don't even like you looking at their boats. And there's been a lot of little kids around the landings. I've seen, handicapped people around the landings. And the last thing I want to see happen is, a little kid put his finger in the cable and the other kid pulls on it and, he gets hurt with a tool. So, it really has to be vetted, and I think, the town board definitely should look at, getting some type of policy and agreement in place for donations, because I think we should be looking at it in other areas, with our parks and some other things. So at this time, I know we do have a few spare tools here. One of the tools I know was a little bit more difficult to get, one of the swivel brushes, because they were backlogged on them with the supply chain issues that we're having in this nation. But I think it is important to have the tools there, even though I've witnessed, them not getting used very much. However, I think as of now, I think it still should be, and I think we already agreed on this earlier at a different meeting, that it's the town's responsibility until we can get something in place to be able to accept donations and such. That's my thoughts.
May I say a few words again? I'm sorry. There's a lot on your agenda that has to do with lakes.
Yeah, there is.
Which is great.
We're in a lake place, right? That's all good.
So may I speak?
Yes.
All right, thank you. So Marissa Allman is the Water Resource Management Specialist with Jefferson County. She couldn't be here today. She might end up coming late because she's at the county board meeting. She was hired this year, and part of her salary is being paid by the DNR to specifically work on aquatic invasive species. So she has been the contact person for the Clean Boats, Clean Waters watercraft inspectors to train them and check in on them to see if they have questions about the job that they're doing and such. And so when the issue of disappearing tools came up, she got involved because it's has to do with aquatic invasive species. There's also a network of people throughout the state who work on aquatic invasive species in land and water conservation departments. So she reached out to them when things were starting to disappear. I think that at the beginning when the Rock Lake Improvement Association was donating the signs and the tools, people just didn't think about a policy of who's going to replace tools if they were stolen, because it actually wasn't, we didn't hear throughout the state that it was an issue. We weren't finding that out at all. So when it started happening here, I think, Rock Lake, who just, had bought the tools originally, decided that, well, we should buy some more. But anyway, Marissa has reached out to her colleagues throughout the state and had a number of ideas, spray painting the tools, having like some placards that were attached to the tools that said property of the town of Lake Mills. So the Rock Lake Improvement Association said that they would be willing to do that work and donate those placards. Marissa also was happy to help with keeping track of how many tools go missing and when. We had those Clean Boats, Clean Waters inspectors out a lot at the launches every week, so they could report back to when they see tools are missing. I just think there needed to be some sort of system set up so that she would know who to report that information to, and if it was the town going to be buying those tools that were missing. You know, I don't know if there's been, I didn't know if you were waiting for this meeting to purchase those tools that are missing.
We have some spare tools. See, I mean, that was one of
Okay.
that was one of the problems is we had spare tools. And, you know, obviously you don't want to replace tools every day, right? I mean,
Right.
and I mean, you can do what you want to the tools, but unless you put a homing beacon in there that the law enforcement can track, you can put property of the town on there, it's written on them, you can color them, they're, whoever's doing it, and
Right.
trust me, there's some Jim Dandies out there, because I've seen a few at the landings.
Yeah.
They have their own opinion on things, but it's very unfortunate, and it's really unfortunate that, you know, I wish we had, you know, something right in place, and tonight we could just say, yeah, let's get that, whip that agreement out, and let's get that done. But as you mentioned, you know, having a plan in place, who's gonna replace them, how often are they gonna check, you know, documenting all that for future boards, paramount, and the
Oh, yeah,
common council.
I agree.
It's just nothing's
Yeah.
on paper, and everyone's kind of running around, and it's like, there's a lot of confusion, and the last thing we want is two people buying sets of tools.
Oh, I totally agree. And Marissa, you know, wanted that, some system to be worked out as well. So, I mean, she was recommending that the spray painting and the placards be tried and see what happens. And then she had some other ideas about what could be done next if still the tools are getting walked away. And the cable idea, you know, it would have been the idea was to have a plastic coated cable because we know that people are using it next to their expensive boats. So that was the idea there, if that's going to be the next step. But I guess I also wanted to say that, you know, I don't know if the tools have been replaced yet. So I was hoping that, like, it wouldn't have to come to your board every single time tools needed to be replaced, because that's obviously
I've been
something.
running around and checking.
Okay.
The city's a whole nother, because it's, you know, it's on their property. And they really, they're not adverse to this whole idea of donation by any
Right.
stretch of the
Yeah.
imagination, from my talks.
Great.
However, we just don't have something in place, and it's a matter of, yeah, we do have to order them, and, you know, do we order 100 this year? Do we order, you know, because you're ordering from all these individual places. They're not coming from one spot. It'd be really nice in that entirety of the AIS program, as if they were warehousing them, and you can get them all from a one-stop shop, because the freight charges on this stuff, it's crazy right now with FedEx and UPS, and you know, and you know, and it's disheartening, you know, to be down there, and I have two sets of eyes on two of the landings, people that live there, and it's disheartening that when nobody is down there or a staff member isn't present, they aren't getting used. They'll be the first people to tell you.
Well, and I will.
It's just like the one person said, I haven't seen them get used all year. And so to have them disappear and replace them and not have them used that's even more disheartening than the aspect of it. And that's why I think there's a number of areas that have to be beefed up here. And of course, we did notify law enforcement that this was going on too, which, you know, but we need to get more eyes on deck. I think more eyes on deck, even from the public, is crucial to stopping theft, whether it's in a neighborhood, a launch, you know, whatever the
Yeah.
key is. And I think we can do a way better job there. We're more than happy as a town to purchase them. You know, I can't be down there every day. So if somebody is reporting to the channel could be the JRLC, you know, and the JRLC reports it to, the best thing is to get information to the town clerk, regardless. You know, it comes to Robin, we see it.
Right.
And, you know, and that's notification that we can get it done. I mean, there's stuff that goes on, and it's a phone call away, and, you know, large percentage of the time I'm down there same day putting up a, you know, whether it's the E. coli sign or whatever it is, to get it done. And I know these gentlemen, the two supervisors they do the exact same thing. So we're pretty fast in our response to get things done.
Yeah, and the tools are new. You know, I think that we can include that into the training with the Clean Boats, Clean Waters inspectors to try to show people, the boaters, more about them. I haven't talked to them to see what they see in terms of tool usage, just because one person says they haven't seen them use.
There
it.
is some when
Yeah.
they're there. I mean, I've seen some do it, but
Yeah.
there's still a large percentage
Yeah.
that.
I think it's something.
That's
that
more
can
of
be
the eye
adopted.
inspection and, maybe there really hasn't been that much stuff coming off on boats either. So, that's. an
Depends on the
aspect, too.
launch you're at.
Yeah, it really depends. I did communicate with Mr. Waters at the city council to ask him if he wanted his replaced, because those were the ones that were
Yeah.
still in jeopardy, because I have at least something here to help. And he said he was gonna be in talks, I believe, with Marissa, so.
Okay,
And I-
great.
you
Yeah, I
know,
just didn't want to see, as you had said
And
before,
or
the
John
lake is a
Crump, I
great
can't
use.
remember the discussion, but that's, because it's their property, and
Oh, yeah, certainly.
I don't wanna
Yeah.
step over
Yeah,
bounds on anything.
definitely. Yeah, I just want to make sure that there's a system soon that doesn't have to come back to the town board for approval so that we can continue to protect Rock Lake and get those tools out there.
That's why I wanted to get it on the agenda tonight, because we need a better system in place, and I think, I always love generosity. I think it's huge, and I have a big heart to it, and at the same time, we want to give them recognition, but you have to have all this documented and get it in place, so, there's a system going forward to make sure that, we're addressing all the issues and making sure that people are getting recognized, and we got a good plan in place to who's gonna do it, so we don't have multiple people running around.
Right, certainly, yeah.
Yeah, so it's all fair, and I'm really glad that, I've been able to see some things and others have brought it to our attention, and I know Marissa has too, so we're very grateful for that. Discussion and or decision of tree removal at North End Park Lane parking area and Elm Point boat launch west of Drive. So,
north end was the large dead tree,
big elm tree.
right on the edge of the park. Right by our
Yes,
parking,
it's right on the parking lot, like hits the pavement almost.
straight by that walkway that goes back to
Yeah.
the pavilion.
It's a hazard tree now. Apparently Hope had talked to Kevin last year, and she just told him to deal with it, and that we would take it out of boat launch fees. So I don't think it ever made it to the town board.
Right.
That's what spurred the boat launch fees thing, to see if that was even attainable to do that. And the good news is it's kind of a gray area, but the good news is we did have somebody from the DNR weigh in on it too, and they said that would be okay. So, and Kevin informed me of that. So, I think we can take that out of boat launch fees and get that one taken care of. Elm Point.
Can we back up? Who is going to be taking care of the tree? Is it the county parks?
So the county parks quoted it out with Creason.
Okay.
I believe it was, what was the cost of that?
It was like 1,000 something.
Was it 1,500? 1,500, I want to say. Somewhere in that neighborhood to take that one down, which I thought was really reasonable.
Yeah.
It's a huge tree. So, that one, that's that one. He quoted it out, Creason. Basically, what I need to do is tell him, and he'll tell them to take care of it. We just need to get approval that it's gonna come out of both launch fees to take care of the
Do
issue.
we need to notify Kevin?
We do need to
So
notify
should
him.
that be a motion that we're agreeing to have them do this?
Yeah,
Yes,
I make a motion that we agree to have the county contact Creason
Creason.
to get the tree removed at North End Park Lane.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries by unanimous decision.
Town's paying for it.
Town's
Correct.
paying for
Out of the
it.
Rock Lake account.
Out of the rock pool.
Should have been in my motion, I guess.
Well, you can make another motion.
You can add, okay. I make a motion that town is paying for that tree removal,
Out of launch fees.
out of launch fees.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries by unanimous decision. The Elm Point boat launch, that tree's in, I don't know where the lot line is.
Oh,
It's right on.
By Mrs. Graves' residence.
Yeah.
She's just to the west of that boat launch drive.
I believe it's an ash tree. It's not quite, there's one green branch on it, but it's way in the dodo. And
Is it kind of in that little ditch that goes through there?
yeah.
so if we get an agreement with her,
Yeah,
they would just take it out of there.
yeah, and we'd have to.
She
have
was
that-
investigating quotes already, and
Okay.
I don't know if she really, my instruction to her was
Is it the one you're going down towards
To
the
the
lake
left.
to the left?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep,
all right.
that big one, yep.
Do we know if it's on town property or majority town property, majority her property? Is it like really, without a survey, we're not gonna know, are we?
Without a survey, it's gonna be a tough one.
Then it's a liability right now.
It's a launch liability, because cars parked there, the EIS sign is there, there's houses
Should be
there.
less than the one at North End, right, smaller?
Yeah, and I basically instructed her that essentially, if she did have the tree taken down, that she needed to notify us, because we're gonna have to close that landing for a couple hours till they get it out of the way, or however long it takes them. And I have not heard anything back from her, so the tree is still there as far as I
So
know.
would it be wise to maybe see if Crejons would also do that one, or?
Yeah, I would just like to get an estimate from them, and they've been super reasonable on everything I've seen so far.
Okay, so you want to get an estimate on that and bring it back? Well, you want to wait a month?
We can.
Or,
I mean, that one's not really going anywhere, I don't think, but it's, you know how messy those things get. They start dropping all their dead branches in the winds.
better.
I make a motion that we remove that tree, pay for it out of boat launch fees, and contact the property owner next to there that town is going to remove it, pay for it.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries by unanimous decision.
Okay. I think the last one was the park, oh, that was Parkway. Never, that was the same tree at the north end. Never mind.
Oh, no, there's a decision for the DNR permit.
Right, that was separate, okay.
That's separate. So there's a DNR permit to clean up branches, invasive species, some brushery that continues to creep in the parking lot and such at the north end boat launch area in Ferry Park. So this would be between the shoreline and the parking lot. And there's also some trees with branches over the pedestrian interference. Ferry Park is, well, we got a cliffhanger right now, but that's more of an emergency over there. But there are some issues down in that, by the beach area, that are overgrown and need to be just cleaned up a little bit.
So I'll make a motion that we apply for a permit to clean up the branches and trees and invasive species at Ferry Park and the north end boat launch area.
Second the motion.
Is there any other discussion?
May I speak?
Yes, you may.
Subject, or just, yeah.
Thanks. So there's a little confusion here because for any invasives removal, tree cutting within 75 feet of the water, that's regulated by the town, or I'm sorry, by the county zoning department. So it's not the DNR. So it would be a county permit because they regulate everything above the ordinary high, and the DNR regulates everything below the ordinary high water mark. So just want to make sure you're applying for the right permit.
Okay.
So do you want to amend your?
Yeah, I will amend that motion that we apply to the county for the permit.
I'll second the amended
We're going to
motion.
vote on that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries, thank you. That is correct.
We gotta back up to G. I think we skipped G.
Oh, yeah, I did. Checked it off.
Oh.
I checked
Yeah,
off
so did
G,
I.
I checked off G instead of F. And
I did it too, but I
Sorry.
So Ferry Park, we already talked about that.
Bad. Thank you, sir. Discussion or decision to repair work to be done to Ferry Park Boat Launch Pier. So this spring I found one bumper by the sign in the garlic mustard, picking the garlic mustard. And Bob informed me the last time I was down there, another bumper that was laying there, so I picked that one up. So we have two bumpers off of the main pier, and it's aluminum, I believe, so it's one of those specialty aluminum weld jobs. So I don't know if we want to do it now or wait till the end of the year.
It's,
Who did we have do that last time?
I
Was it
know, you have to talk to Bob Delaney.
There was a name, I think he blurted out a
Bob
name, but I don't
Steigerwald,
remember.
possibly?
I think that might have
I
been
think
it.
that's who it was.
Bob's Metalwork, I think it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, I think that sounded familiar.
I think it can wait till we pull them out, can't it? Otherwise you gotta pull
You know,
them
the
out.
water is so low right now down there, I don't even know if they're making a difference.
Yeah.
But I just don't want it to get forgotten about either.
I'm gonna scratch somebody's.
Because one came off that was from last year, it wasn't from this year. And it wasn't reported, it was thrown in the, in the bramble and the stuff, so. So I guess we don't need to make a decision on that tonight, but just so we have
Just gotta make
it
sure it
Just
stays
keep
on
it
the
on
radar.
on the radar is an issue to deal with at the end of the year. Okay. Discussion and our decision of beach water quality information flyer. Patricia, do you want to present on the beach water quality information flyer? Since you're a busy person.
Sure.
But it's a great flyer, but it did get amended, I think, or.
Yeah, basically, this flyer was put together cooperatively by the Joint Rock Lake Committee, my office, the City of Lake Mills, the Town of Lake Mills, the Jefferson County Health Department, and the Watertown Department of Public Health. There was a number of years ago, there was a lot of public concern about beach water quality, and at that time, the city wasn't following the EPA and DNR guidelines of what to sample for, so that now has been resolved. But there was a need to put together an informational brochure. So you probably have that in front of you, I am assuming. So basically just, this was back in, I don't know, was it 2017 or something like that, or maybe before that? I'm sorry, I don't remember the date, but basically just gives information on, why a beach would be posted as an advisory or closed because of E. coli amounts, what makes that pollution happen, explaining what E. coli is, explaining what an advisory and a closure, what those mean, and some safety information about how to be safe at the beaches when you're recreating. This year, earlier when Ferry Park got a high E. coli reading, I was interested and went to the past website where the data is housed and found that it's not housed at that website anymore, and instead it's on a DNR website. So I basically updated the link, which appears under how do I know if a beach is closed or has an advisory. And then I, at the very bottom of the form, updated the date that it was updated because I thought maybe that would be important. So then I sent it out to everybody I knew who had this on their website, including the town, and there were questions about policy of what gets posted on the town website. I personally think that this is really important information to give the public about how to be safe at the beaches and how to understand beach closures and advisories, and I hope that you continue to have it on your website.
Is it on the website?
I have to look. I have to backtrack. Since switching to the new website, I
Yeah,
have to
it's
locate
kind of,
it.
the website's,
Because they built
the
the website
navigation
for
of the
us.
website, unfortunately, is, for most people, is not very user-friendly.
So when I was updating this, I looked on your website and it's there under, I think it's under the lake,
Okay. I'll search
additional
for it to make sure
resources or
it's-
something like that. It's one of the links, or one of the, comes up with the PDF. And so basically, I emailed you the new document with the updated link.
The one
So
thing I-
there was no content changed, it was just the link and the date.
The one thing I did notice when I went to the DNR's website, and then when you go through in the drop-down menu where you select the different beaches,
Yeah,
initially Ferry Park was not on there. Is what you were talking about earlier, is that what was added? Or is that a different, I did contact the DNR and ask them to have that added since we did have to do the closure.
it's on there, and if you need assistance finding it, I can help you.
Well, and I knew where I was at.
Yeah.
It wasn't on that list. So if somebody.
I looked for it once, and where you think it is, it's not there. You have to go to another,
See,
it's still
but
on
it
this
should be.
website. It's still on this website, but
Okay.
you have to know where specifically to go to the data. So there's, when you first bring it up for the public and you click on, water quality, it brings up all the beaches that are currently posted for advisories or closure, and there'll be a map. And if there's a dot on the map for Ferry Park or any of the other beaches on the lake, it would show up on that map. But then there's another location at this same website where you can actually look at the data. So a week after the high test at Ferry Park, it was tested again, and that data shows that it was not, it was under the
Yeah.
threshold, so it wasn't an advisory or a closure.
Yeah, we posted and pulled, it was,
Yep.
I think, within an hour or so this first day, and then pulled, as soon as we
Yeah.
found out when you told me, so we were good. Because the one thing I noticed is you had the notice was on the website, it was like out there blaring.
Yellow, yeah.
I hang around e-commerce a lot. And people don't like to hunt for anything anymore.
Well, I think it.
The more clicks they have to do, the worse it is. That's where it's going.
Would it be more beneficial than when it is posted, say we do have an issue at one of the beaches, to include that document along with that initial notice that there is a closure?
If it
That
can be
way it's all
attached to
one
that
spot.
somehow and it's right there blaring at them, that's what needs to happen, because otherwise it's the hunt for Red October.
You mean on your website?
Yeah.
So
So
when
I would say that you should always
Or do a
have
link.
this document on your website, because it does explain some good safety precautions for the recreating public. So I think it's good information to always have on your website, not just if there is an advisory or closure. And by the way, Ferry Park, it's not typical for that beach to have an advisory, and I don't know if I've ever seen a closure there.
that's the first time
Yeah.
in 20 years I've seen it.
Yeah,
So
so it probably won't come up again, but I do think there's really good information on here for the public that they should have.
My speculation was animals.
Well, and, you
'Cause I
can
saw
talk,
some
I
stuff
sometimes call
floating
the woman who does the testing, because she, does it for all the beaches in the county. And, she tries not to do it after rainstorms, because that's when
Yeah.
with the runoff coming in, that's when you typically will get the high E. coli. But it's typically waterfowl that are causing the bacteria levels.
Yeah, there's been that down there, and there's been a lot of dogs, and there's been some
Yeah.
refuse from that as well, which
Yeah.
hopefully will get solved with one of our committees, so. But yeah, I don't know, I really don't have a problem with it being on the website, but I do want to make sure that, because websites are usually super friendly or they're not friendly. There's not a lot in between, and people, they're just very few people will view it, kind of like our garbage situation, so. But yeah, it's a very good document. I believe they are they dating that document or putting a new version number on that document, you know? I don't remember.
You mean
if I
this
saw
one?
that.
I put a date at the very bottom.
Okay, yeah, just so the.
It says
updated.
updated, let me put my glasses on.
Yeah.
6/14/2021.
Okay, so that's the latest.
It just it makes it easier to keep track of.
Yep,
too.
that's why I put it on there. And it's the first time we've had to update it, so that's why there wasn't a date on it before, because we didn't necessarily know that that was gonna change.
So I guess we need a motion to put the amended, because I don't think we have the amended version on the,
I'm not sure, but we're gonna make sure it is.
yeah, the amended version on the website, and also have that, it's a link, right? We can attach to the brochure, is that correct? Or would that be correct for that brochure?
On the PDF, it's a live link, so if you post it as a PDF, you'll
Like
be
as
able
a notice,
to
we'd be able to
click
have a
it.
link right next to it or something, or informational link or something.
You're talking about, you're not referring to another brochure, you're talking about that
No,
document.
that specific
Yeah.
one.
Okay, yes, it'll come up as a PDF
Yeah.
form.
Yeah, so we would need the motion to put the amended document on the beach water quality information flyer on the website, and also post it with an emergency notice of a health alert for beach situation, beach water situation.
So move.
Sorry, didn't mean to overcomplicate it, but can I get a
I got the
second?
gist of it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries by unanimous decision. Discussion or decision on appointment of town representatives to the extraterritorial zoning committee per city ordinance 660.179B 2B. Don't believe we have anybody on that.
Sarah Muchka is presently the only one.
Right.
The other one was Lee Peterson and Sarah Fitzgibbons. Previous, I don't know, she's still in the
She was a
town
previous clerk. yeah.
clerk. So, Sarah Muchka still wants to be on it. Then you need a new town board member on it. And someone else.
They're all both looking at me.
That guy's always looking at me. I'll be on it. I mean, I'm familiar with it, started it.
I just
30 years
figured because
ago.
you're on the plan commission already, it
Yep,
just
that's
helps
fine.
having
Yep.
the background and,
Yeah.
but I believe it's 3 we need on that.
Yep, you need another one.
So we-
Steve Zekoff shown any interest? He's also on the plan commission? Or do you think that's too many people from one entity being on there?
So, I don't know.
It's always nice to have diversity. I don't know, it seems like every time we talk about those types of things, with actually what's going on with annexation and all that stuff, it's like it's legal stuff, right? And I wish we could find somebody, you know, that
Yeah.
is retired, a retired legal in the township that would, you know,
Well,
volunteer.
Lee will be in here later, let's ask Lee.
Yeah,
As
he's
a
in the
town
township.
resident.
He's
Yeah,
a
he
town
lives in
resident.
town.
Yeah.
There might be some conflict of interest if he still continues to do legal work for the town though. So he may not be willing because of that.
Yeah, I think there might be another one in my neighborhood, but I haven't had time to approach them on that as of yet.
Or, you know, someone that's maybe in planning or engineering or,
Something that just, yeah, kind
Bill
of.
Schmeiser always said on that, didn't he, Jim? When he was on?
Bill Schmeiser, Bob Crump, and myself were the ones that negotiated the first one 20 years ago. Or, yeah, 20
Yeah,
years
20.
ago, 2002. And he's passed away since, so.
Yeah.
And so is Bob Crump.
So do you want to make any decisions on that tonight, or do you want to wait till we have a
should we put
third?
a kind of a notice together like we did for the other
Yeah,
appointments
I
to
think
see
that
if we
would be
can
the thing to
generate
do.
some interest?
And hopefully we can knock it out at the August meeting.
We could possibly appoint the two in case something does come up, so then they at least have a quorum.
Can do
that?
Just a suggestion.
Hey Lee, we have a question for you. We were talking
You're on the
about
clock.
representatives to the extraterritorial zoning, and Sarah Muska on the plan commission is gonna be on there, and Jim. And because it is such a legal thing, do you have a conflict of interest or any interest as being a town representative to be on that extraterritorial zoning committee?
Think about it, but I don't see any conflict,
Okay.
especially since I'm on my way out anyway.
Retirement.
Are you retiring?
Not yet.
You've been telling me that for 5 years.
I know.
You're the busiest retired guy I.
Let me talk to Roy about it. How much time does it?
Well, they haven't met in 10 years.
That's why
Not a lot.
There will be, because we're
Renewing.
Yeah, it's
the
renewing.
agreement.
recently renewing the boundary agreement this year for another, whatever, extended time. There would probably be a few more meetings, which would involve some legal expertise needed.
Sure. Let me talk to Lori, but it sounds okay?
You walked in at the wrong time.
The right time.
So then wait till August, Lee can get back to Robin
Okay.
or Tom, whoever.
Do you want to make a motion to basically appoint the two tonight?
Not me.
I'll make a motion to appoint Sarah Muska and Jim Hines on the extraterritorial zoning committee.
Can we get a second? Second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved by unanimous decision.
And Jimmy, you
Well,
abstained?
two.
No,
yeah.
two.
Two to
Jim's
abstain.
abstained.
Two
Yeah.
abstain.
One abstain.
Got it. Where are we at?
We're on,
We don't need to put a notice out then for
Letter
that, so
K.
we're good. Okay, discussion and/or decision on Lake Mills Fire Services budget. I wanted to get this on the agenda so we could talk about it as to where we're gonna come up with the money, I guess.
yeah.
We got a little further with roads tonight, so.
And I'll just give a little quick history. And we met with Lake Mills Fire, City Manager and Fire Department in October of 2020. 2020. And the set the budget presented was October 2020, our portion was going to be $246,853 for 2021. And then, or 25.92% of the fire budget. Now, after reassessments and things happened, this town's portion is, well, we set a budget of 250,000, I believe. We upped it a little, knowing it would change a little bit based on assessments. Well, the assessments came through and the city is billing us for $300,677, or 31.25% of the fire budget. So we're short $50,677 in the 2021 budget. And the only way that we can get that money is to come out of roads,
Yeah, highway.
unless ARPA funds can be used for that.
Which we don't know about yet.
No,
I think that's a
Hopefully,
question.
that's the hope.
We need to ask that question, especially since it's a fire service, that might be, emergency services are probably
Might
more
be one of the
likely.
gray areas we can
Right.
hopefully exploit with
I
that.
think we need to actually physically ask that question of that group, and then they send that information back out to everyone. It's my understanding of how it works.
Well, I think it would be good for all the townships in the state of Wisconsin to know that, because
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of them are dealing with the same thing with that type of funding. It's just very difficult to use the way it was laid out, and it keeps changing, so hopefully it's changing for the better. So I don't know as if we need to discuss any more, and thanks, Jim, for the background on it tonight, but I think we need to get that question asked of either the Department of Treasury or, and/or I would say both, the Wisconsin Towns Association as well, so they're both in the loop.
yeah, well, we have the $111,000 from the state, or the federal government, through the state. It's in our account. We just don't know if we can use it for that yet. but we don't have to pay it back until 2026.
Right.
So you could use it, offset this budget this year, and hope
Yep.
and pray that in the next 5 years, it's allowed. And if it isn't, then you just, you
We have to
just,
pay
you
that back.
just pay it back.
We'd have to pay it back.
So that's one out. I mean, you can use that money for anything. Right now, it's ours. You just have to pay it back if you can. So that's one way of doing it. You wouldn't have to tax for it,
Right.
change the budget, anything.
Right.
And I think that we should think about that. And I really think the ARPA thing, the one thing that we need to look at is that formula for revenue, increase in revenue.
And see if we can garner any.
Use that formula,
Yep.
because you can use that money for anything then, if it comes out that we're short in revenue.
Okay.
But you gotta have the records from I believe it's 2019?
Yep.
2019 is the base, correct? And then you get
talking about
2020s yet, which we have.
Budgeting.
Yes, our budgets.
Yep.
So we need the 2019, the 2020 budget, start looking.
And
at
hopefully
that.
one of the calculators is in our favor. It says there was
Yeah.
2 calculators, so.
Correct. But I think that's
Yep.
the thing we gotta focus on for the ARPA funds.
I'm truly thinking that they're, the Department of Treasury is gonna come to their senses on some of this
Yeah.
emergency stuff, and I think that's probably just gonna be a feasible option, but we should have definitely a plan B and backup, so that's a
Right.
great suggestion, for sure.
Okay.
So for now, I think that's what we should just do, and use that money to fix our budget. Because I think next year, the cities, that reassessment, we should come down again, because all the houses and stuff going up in the city, they should be on the tax rolls by then, hopefully. We'll see. I think Creekwood, or Daybreak Foods, is the one that put us up over the,
Yes.
'cause that was
That it did, yeah.
16 million project.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Letter L.
So where is that money in the treasurer's report? Did that get put into the,
It's on the very bottom under general fund, where general
oh,
fund.
okay, all right, gotcha.
I think I saw.
We're gonna keep a separate accounting of that, just like we do like.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering,
accounts
because how do you
and-
keep track of it?
Right.
So,
You can use the interest on that.
Yes, we can use it. Yeah, because it's in general that you can really separate it out.
Well, I mean, you can invest that and keep the interest after, and pay it back in 2026, and you'll need the amount. You keep the interest.
Right.
Not like you get a lot of interest, but
No.
unless you buy gold, maybe.
Depends on the day.
Yeah.
Discussion and or decision of town zoning procedure information sheet.
Okay, the plan commission looked at this. This is a tool that I created a while back, for applicants at the county level to pick up when they're making application there for whatever zoning permits they want, so they know the town processes. The one thing that the plan commission approved it, if you look at the middle of the page, on the first page, I did add the shoreline zoning is regulated by Jefferson County, kind of right in the middle with the 2 asterisks next to it. I didn't have that on there for a plan commission. I thought that might be kind of helpful for people that might be doing that kind of work, just to have that little reminder on there.
Okay. I make a motion to approve the printout.
second?
Any other discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries by unanimous decision. Discussion of committee versus commission. I just brought this to the table. I've gotten all kinds of wonderful documents from the WTA and everything else. And I just wanted to make sure going into the future, because we obviously are initiating a new committee, Parks Committee. Obviously, the Facilities Committee would be more of a short-term ad hoc. But I don't know if it's ever been determined or identified as to, the length of, existing committees and what, what the Parks Committee would be, 2 or 3 years from now. whether it should be in a committee format or, a commission format based on the length of time and the objectives that need to take place within those groups. So I don't know what the exact answer is here because I read a lot of different things. I've studied a lot of different municipality websites. Some have committees, some have commissions. But I guess, it all revolves around the functionality of what's going on. So if, say a committee, they have tasks to do and that they're getting those tasks done. We have to be very vigilant that that's happening because otherwise you have to start asking yourself, why do they exist or why do we even have them? Because it's just creating, it could be creating a lot of extra time and unnecessary effort. So it's very important regardless that, attention is paid and that, there's goals set forth and that there's some type of determination as to length of time as to, is it going to be a committee forever? Is it going to be,
I think one notable difference between commissions and committees too, are commissions are usually sort of set up through state statutes, which gives them more authority.
Right.
Where committees don't necessarily have that unless we give them that authority via our own ordinances.
Yep, correct. So, I mean, I just wanted to bring it to the table and so everyone could read through all the definitions and, and examples and just so we know going forward that we can keep everything on task and get things across the finish line, because when that stops happening, there's really no purpose to any committee anymore. So, all right, next. Discussion and/or decision of Newtown official information handouts. So this evolved essentially, and it doesn't matter if it's a new board member or a new committee member, commission member, whatever the case may be, but it's always very helpful to have onboarding documents, some type of onboarding documents to help new folks out that haven't been around government aspects before, to kind of walk them through some of the different things that they need to learn and such. Otherwise, they kind of operate blind, with how they're operating, and I think it's just very helpful because I've been on a lot of committees in my life and boards and things like that, and I've been on some where you walk in and you're sitting there and you're wondering what you're doing there for long periods of time, until you kind of get something like this and are successfully onboarded and helped out. It just helps everything keep moving. So I think it's important to have some semblance of this. I know Robin's worked hard on putting some of this stuff together. There's a plethora, obviously, of information, but just trying to keep it simple, for new people, I think is paramount.
I guess the way I approached it was, instead of us reinventing the wheel on these, I took documents that were already, as you say, vetted by legal entities like the Towns Association or, one of our own ordinances that we've already approved or adopted years ago, and just kind of kept it to those documents. And some of the items I had pulled from the Wisconsin Towns official handbook, instead of giving them the entire handbook, which to purchase for every individual is about $40, just pulled certain chapters that really kind of give you the basics of being on a committee and what it entails. So I think we just need to decide which of these documents we really want to provide. All of them, a few of them, just to make sure it's standard or kind of always the same across the board, so everybody starts on the same foot. Then I really like the parliamentary motions chart. That was kind of...
I learn things every day. We're all human, right? Yeah, it was a nice, simple chart, actually. Very helpful. I'd like to get something in motion. I think what you've put together here is, you know, I think it's, you know, nice basic information. It can always be, you know, if we ever want to improve it, we can always improve it.
Or simplify it.
Or simplify it, exactly, make adjustments. So I guess I like what I see. So can we get a motion to approve the new town official informational handouts?
I'll make that motion.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries by unanimous decision. Discussion and or decision of town organizational chart. Was this a new one, Robin, or is this?
No, that's the same one I think I emailed to you.
No, I mean, is this was this an existing one? This is.
We've never had one
You've never
before.
had
Worked on it, that's what I thought. I just couldn't remember.
Now, as we keep adding committees and such, it's kind of a roadmap.
Nice to have a chart, exactly.
I'll make a motion to approve the town's organizational chart that Robin obviously worked quite hard on.
Flow charts aren't easy.
Second that motion.
Any other discussion? Thanks,
Yeah,
Robin, for all the hard work.
Can that be included with the handbook?
Yeah, that's what I was
Yes, I
thinking
think that's
too.
a good idea.
Okay.
Second page in.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries by unanimous decision.
Okay.
Discussion and or decision of town board members to ride with law enforcement on lake patrol to observe issues on Rock Lake. This came about from some observations at the landing and talking with Chief Miller's law enforcement officers on the lake. I think Vince initially brought up the idea, give credit where credit is due. And I think it's an excellent idea. And I also think it would be, you know, I think it might be a good idea, you know, to have, you know, if there was interest in limited common council members to ride with the law enforcement, because sometimes I don't think they understand, I mean, the scope of what goes on, you know, on the lake. Not all of them do, or what law enforcement has to deal with, and as a township, what we have to deal with.
And just so they understand, we manage the lake patrol, which includes, you know, jurisdictions even within the city, and they pay a portion of that cost and that kind of thing, so.
So I don't know what Matt's feelings are on it, if that's,
You wanna hop on a boat, go ahead. That's fine. Yeah. I don't have a problem with that.
I think it, you know, obviously, you know, there's quorum issues and things, but I always think that maybe going at different times for those that want to go also helps too, because you kind of get to see different things that are going on the lake, or, you know, depending on what the day is. So.
And the boat is only so big, how many?
Or they can take a person, extra
Okay.
person, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he said he could take a couple, but the optimal was,
Sure.
is, you don't want to get over two, I don't think, on it.
Yeah, that'd be too many.
So if you do end up having two go on at the same time, we have to post it.
Yeah.
Every Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
I was thinking of Monday morning.
Take it out fishing.
Nice and quiet.
I just think it's a really healthy thing to do, and I honestly think we can, I don't think, you know, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it, but I want to, you know, at least get a motion made that we have the opportunity to do that. And it'd be nice to do it in the next, really within, you know, by the time September hits, because this is the busiest time of the year. Great time to, you know, we give everybody, you know, different weekends to do it, and we can figure that stuff out through Robin or whatever. So can we get a motion for town board members to ride with law enforcement, including limited common council members if they want to do it?
And make a motion to recommend that town board members ride with law enforcement and open it up to the city council.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carried.
Man, who we talked to, we scheduled through you or what?
Just get ahold of me and I'll schedule it.
Okay.
I did it years ago with Scott Irwin. Yeah. The first guy we stopped was a friend of mine, so.
It's all good. Discussion and/or decision on request for reimbursement from Joshua Roth for damage he claims his vehicle sustained due to pothole on Cemetery Road.
Well, this is a ridiculous claim as far as I'm
It is.
concerned. There's no information, he can't pinpoint the date.
Yep,
He
no
has
picture of the pothole.
He has no idea how fast he was going or anything, we don't have any idea.
He never
of that.
filed a police report
Never
of the
filed a report.
damage.
And it totally set precedence.
A 200,000 mile car. Probably fell hard.
When he initially contacted me, he informed me he didn't have insurance, which is why he was seeking reimbursement.
Oh,
Other-
Matt. Self-incriminated.
There he is.
Plus, the other thing was, let's see, this was June? When was this?
Yeah, I think that's what his picture of the.
And he said it was a month, 2 months prior.
Month and a half to 2 months ago. He couldn't find the exact date, he said.
Yeah, so
Last
way
page.
back in May or June, right? May. And we did road tour April. So we would have not known about those potholes until that road tour.
Well,
Because nobody reported them.
He's, there's nothing that adds up here, and he's still trying to drum up information, which tells me that, I love the picture of the light pole,
Yeah.
not a picture of a pothole or anything here.
I think that was the address
Yeah, for
closest
the
to the
fire number.
location.
Yeah, it was, but there's.
I make
no-
a motion to deny this claim.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion denied, or motion passes by unanimous decision to deny the reimbursement to Joshua Roth. Correspondence.
We have an amendment, right?
What's that?
Then we have this.
Oh, yeah, we have most of correspondence after we do the amendment. Because we have the discussion of tree removal request by Allison and Randall Lincoln in the town road right-of-way at the large tree near power lines at N6089. Right, amendments go at the bottom down
Yep,
here.
sorry, Robin, I didn't.
So do we have a price for that tree?
That was like 1,300 for trees on.
Okay,
No, that was a power line one.
yep, I know where it is.
Doesn't the electric company take care of them?
They won't, they'll drop the lines for you, but in order for you to have it taken down, but that's it.
Oh, okay.
So what do we need here, a motion to?
Yeah, we need
approve?
a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve taking down of that tree.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, now back to
Now back to
correspondence.
correspondence.
Okay, so I took care of the verifications for the populations for the EMS services, both with Cambridge and with Lake Mills. I don't know if Dave's still here, and I took off. So that's done for the year. We got a notification from Planning and Zoning Department about their comprehensive plan, farmland preservation plan updates. Amendments to it. And we also have a zoning ordinance update that's going to be looked at. Both it can be reviewed by the Plan Commission, then come to the town board. I got the liquor license information filed at the state, as well as the video service provider report completed this last month.
That it?
That's it.
Yeah, excellent. Robin? 13 meeting scheduled August 3rd for the 2021 Joint Rock Lake Committee meeting, 6 PM at City Hall.
Now that would be the new date, sorry, so it's not August
Oh,
3rd?
no, you're right, it's
So it's
the
the second
Thursday,
Thursday?
I believe, yeah, that's. My calendar, hang on just a second. So second Thursday will be the 12th, yep. So August 12th.
Yep.
August 12th, Joint Rock Lake Committee meeting, 6 PM at City Hall.
Did they change it to 7 or did they keep it at 6?
Ooh, that's a good
I think
question.
she said 6.
I
didn't
thought
she?
she said 6.
I think it's still.
6, okay. I will check that.
We can check that on, yeah, check on that, please. August 3rd, 2021, Plan Commission meeting, 7 PM at the Town Hall. And August 10th, which would be the Town Board meeting, monthly Town Board meeting at 7 PM at the Town Hall.
Okay, we're gonna move into.
We're gonna move into closed session.